after a 5,000-year-old pyramid suddenly appears in Turkmenistan in between American, Russian and Chinese military forces, the Secretary-General of the United Nations pops around to see Bill, who is trying to date Penny, the girl the Doctor saw her dating in the simulation in the previous episode. He hopes she knows where the Doctor is, or, as he is known to the Secretary-General, the President of the world. Bill and Nardole manage to get the TARDIS, with the help of the UN, into a plane and on the way to Turkmenistan, before the Doctor realises what's happening. The Doctor asks how they got the TARDIS out of his office, as the windows aren't big enough, to which he is told they are now. The Secretary-General then brings him up to speed. At the pyramid, the Doctor asks Bill what she thinks it is, and she decides it has to be an alien spaceship, to which he agrees. The US commander asks, what is it doing there? And the Doctor surmises it is sending a message. Bring it. Assuming that the aliens are asking the Earth forces to attack. The Doctor walks up to the pyramid and a red monk from the previous episode appears through a door in the side, telling the Doctor that his people will rule the planet and its people, but only when they are asked to. As the monk returns inside the pyramid, the Doctor's sonic glasses suddenly flash up 11:57 PM, as do everyone's phones and mobile devices. The Doctor guesses the aliens are showing them all a doomsday clock like the one Earth already has, which is set closer to midnight as destruction nears. In a lab in the UK, two techs, a man and a woman, experiment on plants sealed in transparent cases. The man's suffering from a really bad hangover. Because of this, he makes an unnoticed miscalculation in his work. As they talk and work, it's revealed the red monks are watching them through their own CCTV. The Doctor proceeds to kidnap the Russian and Chinese commanders, and along with the UN Secretary-General and the American commander, sits everyone down to discuss the situation. The assumption that the aliens are predicting World War III is brought up, and the Chinese commander states they should attack the pyramid. The Doctor, to the amazement of Bill and Nardole, agrees and tells them to coordinate their attacks. They probably won't scratch the thing, but it might make the aliens take a step back and consider. Just then, everyone's phones change to 11:58 PM. Later, as the Doctor talks to Bill, a sudden orange power beam shoots up from the top of the pyramid. In the skies above, an American bomber has its crew abducted while the plane is set gently onto the ground and the crew released from the pyramid. They are followed by 3 Russian sailors, and a few seconds later, a Russian sub appears nose down in the desert next to the pyramid. A voice rings out from the pyramid saying the aliens are now ready to talk. The 3 military commanders, the UN Secretary-General, the Doctor, Bill and Nardole all walk into the pyramid, where a monk tells them life on Earth is about to cease to exist, the end coming by humanity's own hand. He leads the group into a control room with, at the centre, long thin ropes of blue light surrounded by monks. The monk explains they can see the future and any catastrophe about to occur, and if they wish, stop it. He explains if the monks aren't asked to help, then the Earth will end, and offers the group strands of rope to touch to see for themselves. Upon touching the strands, a desolate, lifeless Earth is seen. The monk states that power must consent to their dominion, that only consent through love will be enough. Everyone's phone changes to 11:59 PM. Over the Doctor's protests, the Secretary-General offers his consent to the monks as he is in a position of power. They touch him and declare his consent comes through fear, not love, and he turns to dust. With that, the Doctor declines the monks' help and leads everyone out of the pyramid. Back at the lab, in biosuits, the man and the woman are working when the man takes his head covering off, saying he thought he was about to throw up. As they speak, all of the plants suddenly go to goo in their enclosed containers. Realising this isn't right, the lady runs out of the containment area while the man, still helmetless, opens one of the plant containers to get a sample of goo and runs after her, forgetting to close the container door behind him. Back at the base, the Doctor and friends discuss what to do. Assuming that World War III is going to be the cause of Earth's destruction, the commanders all shake hands and refuse to attack each other. The Doctor notices the clock is still at 11:59 though, meaning that the destruction won't be caused by a war, it has to be something else. Back at the lab, the man falls to the ground dead and turns into a pile of goo. In the Doctor's HQ, everyone is searching for other means of destroying the world that could happen at that moment. They realise it has to be bacterial, but thinking there is nowhere they can find the cause in time, the commanders decide to override the Doctor's decision and go back and deal with the monks. The Doctor and Nardole finally find the lab in the UK and head off in the TARDIS after telling Bill to go and keep an eye on the commanders. Arriving at the lab, the Doctor and Nardole leave the TARDIS and talk to the Lady Tech, who we find out is called Erica. The Doctor then tells Nardole to go back inside the TARDIS as he is human enough to get infected. Nardole moves the TARDIS as the Doctor had asked, but then starts to cough and collapses. As the Doctor works, everyone's phone changes to 11:59 and 40 seconds. Deciding they are out of time, the commanders head inside the pyramid. They offer consent, but the monks realise they do it only out of a sense of strategy, not love, and all three turn to dust. The monks offer Bill the deal and saying she has the power as she represents the Doctor. Back at the lab, the Doctor and Erica are making a bomb to blow up the lab and destroy the plague. The Doctor sets the bomb and starts the timer and runs to the door, finding it closed. Erica tells him the code, but as he can't see, he can't enter it. Over the phone, Bill asks why not, and he finally confesses he is blind. Bill turns and asks the monks if they can give the Doctor his sight back. They say they can, so she agrees to the deal despite the Doctor telling her not to, as they do not know what the terms are. The monks, realising Bill is doing this out of love for the Doctor, say that consent is pure and the Doctor gets his sight back, enters the code and exits the lab just before it explodes. The monks tell the Doctor to enjoy his renewed sight and to now come and see their world. Okay, so this is the middle of a three-parter story. Extremis last week I thought was a pretty solid episode. It set up the premise of this three-parter, this arc, this small arc, pretty good. And it had tension, it had a little bit of horror in there, had some action. It was a good first parter. This one unfortunately falls apart. It's just a soft filler, middle of the road episode, just to hold it together, just to push things along a bit. There's a lot of narration, there's a lot of monologue. Not a great deal really happens in the way of action as such, but it sets it up for the final episode, which is probably going to be the one that's going to be the full of action that everyone's going to want to see. But this episode itself, I think, is pretty dire. None of it really hangs together. I mean, first of all, if the Secretary General, if the UN has this rule that when the Earth is in peril, the Doctor becomes the President, they would have the TARDIS's phone number to call. Winston Churchill had the Doctor's phone number to call in case of emergencies. Now, if he could do it back in 1943, then I'm pretty sure the UN General nowadays could do it to call the Doctor directly without having to go to Bill's house or Bill's flat and barge in on her date and ask where the Doctor is. That just felt ridiculous. Secondly, you've got the three largest militaries in the world. You've got the Americans, the Chinese and the Russians. The Doctor tells them to coordinate their attack on this pyramid. And what do we get for our troubles? One bomber and one sub. That's it. That's all these three huge militaries can pull together to attack this alien vessel that's threatening to destroy the Earth. One bomber, one sub. And there's only 3 Russian sailors in that sub, which is quite unusual because that was quite a big submarine. I'm pretty sure they don't run on just 3 sailors. But this is the problem with Doctor Who sometimes. The scripts require you to have a budget that's almost like small movie size budget. The script asked for these 3 major powers to attack this pyramid. And the producers and the director were probably like, well, we can't do that. We've probably got enough money to give you a bomber and a sub. That's going to be your lot. That's it. We can't do any more than that. And it just looks stupid. It really does. Thirdly, the lab scene. Now, this is supposedly a lab that's doing research and experimentation on something that is obviously potentially earth-shatteringly catastrophic if it got out of the lab. Now, whether in this episode, this bacteria, this plague, was created by accident or not, it would have been potentially on the list of things that could have happened, worst case scenarios. Now, if that's possible, then this lab would have been one of the best, tightest sealed labs in the world. We're talking like CDC style laboratories. But this lab looks stupid. The airlock doors stayed open. They looked like they were put together a couple of bits of plywood and some silver paint. Now, this lab would have been hermetically sealed, but you wouldn't have been able to open both airlock doors at the same time. You could have opened one, but then you would have walked into the airlock, you would have had to have closed the door, the air would have been purified or filtered, and then you could have opened the last door. There is no way that guy would have been able to open both doors and let the contagion spread. It just wouldn't have happened. And also the suits they were wearing. Erica was wandering around in this white suit. Well, that's great, fantastic, but it obviously wasn't a sealed white suit. It didn't have its own independent air source, which meant she was breathing the same air as the guy. And the guy died because he was breathing in spores or the bacteria or whatever from that plant experiment. So if he died, then she should have died because she didn't have a sealed suit. She didn't have her own independent air source. The Doctor and Nardole turning up at the laboratory in the TARDIS, knowing that they're going into a laboratory where there's a catastrophic bacterial infection happening. So what do? They open the TARDIS doors and they just saunter out in their normal clothes. Only when they're outside does the Doctor say, "Oh, Nardole, you better actually go back inside. You're human enough, you might be infected." And then Nardole collapses, coughing, on the floor of the TARDIS. That is just... oh, it's infuriatingly weak and stupid writing, and it just pisses me off. I could write episodes tighter than this. The Doctor would not have done that. We know the Doctor has biosuits in the TARDIS. We've seen them use them before. So if they're going into a known contagion, he wouldn't have just walked out in his normal clothes with Nardole. He would have put them in suits and then gone out into the lab. That's what he would have done, because that's what he's done before. You know, and finally, he sets the bomb, he goes rushing back to the door is shut, and there's a tumbler system as the lock? A tumbler system. Really? It looks like something you would have got in a kid's toy. You know, it's, the little dials are wobbling all over the damn place whenever somebody uses them. It wouldn't have been a fucking tumbler system. It would have been keypads or something like any modern security door would have had. That was just so stupid looking, and so, yeah, they probably used what they had left of the effects budget or whatever on that stupid bomber and sub, and they thought, well, we haven't got anything here to put in there as a lock. We'll just put this stupid wooden tumbler thing. There you go. Nobody will really bother about it. But it looks ridiculous. It just looks stupid. The premise of this plot also revolves around the fact that Erica's glasses got smashed in her bag, so she couldn't actually do the inputting of the liquids or whatever, the chemicals that the guy ended up having to do because she couldn't see. Okay, now she left her glasses in a bag in a doorway, holding the door open. Now, I know a lot of people who wear glasses, and everyone I've ever worked with that had glasses had a second pair, just a spare pair kicking around in case something happened to their main pair, in their bag or whatever. And secondly, they always had their glasses in cases, hard protective cases, so that the lenses couldn't get scratched. She just threw her glasses in the bag with all the other crap, and then they get smashed. And she's in a job that's this important that she needs her glasses, and that's what she does. Again, no, stupid, weak script writing. It just had to happen that way because that's what the guy thought the story had to have. There were other ways of writing it around so that the guy was making a mistake. You didn't have to include the glasses. You didn't have to include the bit about her saying to him, "Do you mind doing this because I can't see because I've left my glasses?" Just make it his responsibility anyway. And there you go, job done. You could have cut that whole little bit out. It's just so idiotic, really, this episode. And then we have Bill at the end. The Doctor has basically saved the planet again. Okay, set the bomb's going to destroy the plague, the planet is saved. Yes, it will probably kill him, but odds are he'd just regenerate. But Bill decides that she's going to basically risk the entire planet by giving these aliens what they want. Now, we've seen companions do pretty stupid things before. For the same reason, heart rules out over head. But I don't think we've ever seen a companion basically risk the entire Earth, humanity's future, to save the Doctor. I'm pretty sure that's never happened before, because that's just bloody stupid. You know, okay, she likes the Doctor, fine. She's only been with him for 6 other episodes. It's not like they've been hanging around together for years. It's not like he's a member of her family. You know, let's weigh it up here. We've got the Doctor, and we've got the entire world and humanity and its future. The Doctor's shouting at her not to do it. What do we do? What do we do? Fuck all that. I'm just going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to give the aliens what they want, so the Doctor gets his sight back and he can escape. Yay! No. I finally figured out why I don't like Bill. She's bland. She's boring. She doesn't do anything other than skip around the place with that goofy grin on her face, asking questions that the scriptwriter feels that people, so the Doctor can explain to people what's going on. But then all companions do that, but nearly all other companions that I can remember have done it in a way that's actually makes you interested in them. There's just nothing there. When you look at Bill, she's just got that blank, wide-eyed expression, and there's no depth to character. There's nothing there which drags you in and says, I'm interested in this person. You know, I want to know more about them. There's no energy. There's no sparkle. There's just nothing in that character that I like. You could have taken that out of this episode and just had it the Doctor and Nardole, and it would have worked just as well, and it wouldn't have changed at all. So I don't understand why they've done this, why they've written her this way. I'm not saying Pearl Mackie's a bad actor. I think she's just trying to work with what she's been given, and that's what it is. But it's a terribly written character, and we have seen much better companions before, so I don't know why the producers, the directors, Stephen Moffat, whoever, thought, oh yeah, this would be a great idea. Let's put this character in. This will resonate with the audience. And lastly, how did the aliens give the Doctor his sight back? How can you give somebody else's sight back remotely? I don't think that's possible, is it? I mean, they're not like omnipotent. They're not like Q out of Star Trek or God or something. They can't just wave their hand and somebody miles away, thousands of miles away, suddenly gets their sight back. I'm pretty sure that doesn't work like that. So the only thing that made sense to me is they're still inside a simulation, inside the aliens' simulation. Because surely that's the only way. The aliens have complete control over that simulation. So they can do anything they want in it. So the only way they could possibly, just on a whim, give somebody their sight back was if they had total control over that person. Now, they don't have total control over the Doctor in real life. You know, he's thousands of miles away in a lab. They can't just make him get his eyesight back. They didn't take his eyesight from him. So surely, logically then, the only way they could do that is by giving him, by them all still being inside this simulation somehow. Now, we're obviously probably going to find that out next week in the next episode, but that's the only thing that makes logical sense to me. So anyway, okay, this is a terrible episode. I'm sorry, there isn't really anything about this episode I like. I mean, the 3 military commanders, fine. I mean, they acted the best they could, but I'm pretty sure they would only have been like a rank of colonel or major, something like that. They certainly wouldn't have been able to make earth-shattering, altering situational decisions like that without going up the chain of command. For example, the US commander couldn't have just said, yes, we'll consent to letting these aliens take over the world without asking the president. I'm pretty damn sure that would have had to happen. So, once again, this episode is terribly written. It's acted well because you can't knock the actors for this. They were given this script and this is what they were asked to do, and they did the best they could. But it's a terribly written episode. It just doesn't hang together. Luckily, it's the middle part of 3 episodes. The first episode I enjoyed. This part I hate. Hopefully, I'm going to like the payoff at the end. But from the teaser we saw for next week's episode, it looked very much like, I think the episode was The Sound of Drums, David Tennant episode, where the Master is in charge of the world, and the Doctor's in this cage and has been shrunken down to this little thing, and Martha's walking around the world, and she's become like this resistance leader, and it's down to her to make sure that the Earth comes together to fight the Master. I think it's The Sound of Drums. It's you must know the episode from that description, surely, if you follow Doctor Who at all. But anyway, that's how it looks. So I'm hoping Stephen Moffat hasn't just dipped into his bag of old storylines and dragged that one out and given it to somebody to write. But I guess we'll see next week. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rant on this episode. If you did enjoy it for some reason, please subscribe to my YouTube and share it on your Facebook. Until next time, until next week, you guys take care. I'll see you then. Bye for now.